And with that, I'm going to segue over to our next speaker. This is going to be introducing Ann Rosinski. She's the Earthquake Program Manager of Mitigation Division, FEMA Region 9. Welcome, Ann.
Hey, Cindy. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. So I didn't prepare a whole lot of slides. I didn't prepare any, actually. When Cindy reached out to me to talk about the Napa earthquake, I thought, well, there's already a lot of presentations about it. There's an after action report, and there's a lot of timelines about what happened. I just thought about, well, what are the most vivid memories and impressions that I had from that event? What really stuck with me? And the two big takeaways for me from that event were that there are two real important keys to success. And one is planning and practicing that went into preparing for the event, and then how that lessons learned from the Napa earthquake response informed our future planning and preparedness events and exercises, and most importantly, teamwork, because that is a true force multiplier, and it also ensures that we're not in an echo chamber, that we have other key resources and experts that can help us problem solve. And there were a number of different things that came to mind and why, different successes that the Clearinghouse had in Napa. To me, one of the most important ones was the collection of the LiDAR afterwards. In the few days following the event, there was a lot of discussion, there was a lot of chatter amongst participants about the need for LiDAR, but no single organization had enough resources to be able to do that on their own. And so to me, that's one of the most things I'm most proud of is the way all of the Clearinghouse partners came together and had a really productive conversation. And because we had had a number of multiple day meetings and exercises ahead of time, we all got to know each other and trust each other. And so when it came to identifying the area to collect the LiDAR, it was a true compromise. And that was really impressive, because here you had a bunch of state, federal, and local agencies, and everybody put their egos and politics aside, and it really was, how can we all come together to best serve the community? And that was really important. I think another important aspect of trust and teamwork and working together is that also it means that we can speak candidly to each other. And when things don't go wrong, we can be honest about that so we can fix things going forward. I know I'm so glad that Luke is on the panel today, because he was just a real champion during the Napa earthquake. He came for the USGS, but he did a lot of help, providing, GIS support and IT support, which is not his job, but he did it. He never complained, and I never questioned it, and I was really appreciative. I really was happy to have that. But in the following exercises and conversations we had over subsequent years, it came out that, that really wasn't, that wasn't ideal. That was something that he did, and it was incredibly valuable, but that meant he was also sacrificing some of the things that he needed to do for his job and for his organization. And I really appreciated hearing that, because knowing that, I'm glad that he was able to feel comfortable saying that, because it was something that then we could plan for. We knew that there are other resources available for staffing, and it helped us to start thinking about that and planning for that for the next time. So that was really important. Another really vivid memory I had was EERI when they showed up. The Napa earthquake was, as Michael Hornick, my FEMA colleague, said, it was a boutique disaster because it was a 6. It did end up getting a federal disaster declaration, but it took several weeks to do that. But we arrived on scene. We were able to secure a location through Caltrans, which again, that was because of our coordination ahead of time. But the EERI team, I wish I had a picture of this. They rolled up, and I think it was Marjorie's little Jetta, and there were at least 4 people put in that car. And as they poured out, they were bringing boxes of equipment and printers and whiteboards and everything that you could think of that we could use. It was truly impressive. And that helped identify that, we're going to need some durable goods and resources going forward. So that was a really good lesson that helped identify some of the gaps that we face. And it took us, again, following the event, we had a number of exercises, discussions, and we were finally able to put together some go kits, but it took several years to do that. So the lessons learned from the Napa earthquake and other events and exercises really helped us to plan and prepare for the events that followed. The Ridgecrest earthquake was another example. When I was up at the State Operations Center for Ridgecrest, it occurred to me that, hey, I don't have all of my office equipment. I had already been working from home. This was before COVID. But I realized, hey, in addition to having a go kit, Ken Hudnett has a great slide with all of his field gear that he shows. And it got me thinking, certainly with Ridgecrest and then following with COVID, hey, not only do I need to have field gear, but it's also important to be able to have, your sort of campaign furniture. What kind of equipment do you need to do your job? It's, we all know what our roles and responsibilities are, but thinking about what are the obstacles that are going to be in our way when the event happens is really important, and being able to plan for that. And again, the lessons learned from Napa and projecting that forward to our current environment, certainly the importance of data sharing and information sharing in remote conditions, especially now, not just with COVID, but with fires and public safety power shutoffs. Things become a lot more complex. So I really appreciate that the Clearinghouse is continuing to, conduct exercises and meetings, because that gives us all an opportunity to brainstorm about what the gaps are and plan for them. I think some of the other things that we don't think about are, for Napa, that was a sort of a commuter quake. For those of us that are in Northern California, it was easy for us to travel to and from that event, and we were able to find some hotels. But even in that situation, I was sharing a room with the EERI team because the hotel rooms were scarce, even for that event. Multiply that going forward now with COVID and the lessons learned from the fires, that during the Santa Cruz, some of the fires in Santa Cruz, the survivors were evacuated and they had to be sheltered. Some of them had to be sheltered in San Francisco because there wasn't enough room to socially distance and isolate. There weren't enough hotel rooms. So some of those, lessons learned are still being applied. And my takeaways with the Napa earthquake were, the more that we can do in between times, the more that we can anticipate and work together, the better off we'll be. And in terms of resources, I think everybody assumes that when there's a major urban event that there will be funding and resources available. And I think that's true. I think the spigot will be turned on. But if we look around right now, the shelves are pretty bare. There's not a lot of resources available because we're all continuously dealing with other disasters as well. And I think what I learned from Napa is that we can't assume that those resources are going to be there. We can't assume that we know what other partners are going to be able to provide and to be able to contribute. So we all need to be very proactive in speaking up about what our needs and requirements are and practicing with those ahead of time, so that the next time an event happens, we're better prepared. We're never going to be able to anticipate everything, but again, I think the teamwork and the collaboration are are most important. So that's pretty much all I have, and I look forward to continued success of the Clearinghouse and continuing to participate.